The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake has even more in-game images and assets leaked, seemingly from its original build that was taken on by Aspyr. All of the images we are about to see have been found reportedly by MP First, so big shout out to them for digging this up, and their original article showing them will be linked down below if you're interested. So without further ado, let's get right into breaking all of these images down. Earlier last month, MP First had shown us old concept art from Aspyr's version of Kashyyyk, where we went in depth on that art found and what it overall could mean for where KOTOR could be in its development. If you're interested in that breakdown and all of my thoughts on that video will be linked down below in the description along with the article. And now, a couple of weeks later, we get another batch of leaks from MP First again, which shows off in-game assets and seemingly what the camera perspective overall felt like. We see images of blasters and how they were modeled for the game, with a showcase of a one-handed blaster and a two-handed blaster's model. We also get a look at what I would assume to be the vibroblades taken from a close-up and top-down angle of the table that they're sitting on. We get some miscellaneous objects like a sort of dolly to transport goods, what seems to be assets of things that they would put on walls of ships and rooms that have all sorts of buttons, lights, and screens on them, along with an assortment of tools on a table that look pretty well detailed. And finally, the last image shows us the big reveal, which was an over-the-shoulder, third-person point-of-view camera angle, along with a teaser of an unfinished set of armor that we have on a placeholder main character with a vibroblade in hand, along with a tease of what seems to be some sort of command for mission on the bottom left. Now, the boxes at the top and the unfinished environment and textures on things like the armor tells us this was more than likely in a very early prototype build for the game. We've already gone over what this truly means in our other recently leaked concept art video, but the gist of it is the same here. None of these assets ultimately matter unless these assets and perspectives of the camera were actually carried over into the current Saber Interactive build of the game. Allegedly, Saber Interactive did get a hold of all the assets and work Aspyr did, but there is no way to know if they are building on all of it, starting everything from scratch, or picking and choosing what they keep and discard for their own build. Personally though, from what we can see on the screenshots, visually I think the game was coming out great from Aspyr. We couldn't really tell anything of in-game assets from the concept art leaked earlier, but from the details on things like the weapons, the model previews we have on objects like the two-handed blaster and armor models, and with the detail put into just the environmental and miscellaneous objects, overall, it looked like they fit a lot of attention to detail and had a great aesthetic and look to the game. Especially when it comes to the more completed looks of the blade and the one-handed blaster. This is obviously early prototype work like I mentioned before, and might have even been planned to be further refined later on. But even now, the attention to detail on these weapons looked great. And just from the one image of the point of view from the camera, I really liked everything we saw visually about these leaks. So as for why the game got moved from Aspyr to Saber Interactive, I think the reason wasn't anything to do with it not being visually appealing, but more than likely, it was probably a gameplay aspect as to why they decided to move over from Aspyr to Saber Interactive. Personally, I love the playstyle of the original version of the game, but just from personal anecdotes from my friends who love Star Wars arguably probably even more than I do, and love the KOTOR story as well, I know the gameplay is a reason they don't like playing through or replaying the original version of KOTOR. Maybe Aspyr was trying to modernize the combat from its sneakily heavily influenced D&D system with RNG number rolls hidden in every action, and it just wasn't up to par with what Sony wanted. I know a lot of people are hoping it goes down a more action-oriented Fallen Order Jedi Survivor route, but so far we have no actual clue how the gameplay for this game will fundamentally work. Speaking of having no clue, I have no idea what the mission emblem on the bottom left could be used for. My best guess is just a sort of follow me or stay put action, but again, there's no way to confirm what it really means. Overall, I really like the leaked images, and it's good to know that at least visually, it was shaping up to be a really good remake from Aspyr, at least in my opinion. So like I said earlier, I think what prompted the developer switch was actually the gameplay itself, not the visuals. When it comes to fun action gameplay loops, I think Saber Interactive has a pretty good track record, and I'm interested to see what they're cooking up for something like the KOTOR Remake. But let me know what you guys think about the leaked images, what you think the bottom left mission icon meant, and if you think Saber Interactive will be visually keeping what Aspyr was working on in their build in the comment section down below. If you're interested in any Knights of the Old Republic news and leaks as they come out, make sure to like and subscribe, as I will be keeping up with all news on this game, as it is one of my favorite games ever. And in the meantime of waiting for news on this, I'll be covering other awesome games like Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, Resident Evil Requiem, OD, and more. But as always, your support through your viewership, liking, and subscribing is always greatly appreciated and helps me out tremendously against the galactic level threat that is the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys next time. Peace!